Alright, so here is one of the things that I use to help students understand government and economics. Let's look at the first one. These are just charts that I printed out. This is one sheet of paper, this is another sheet of paper, then I laminated it to make sure that it exists. And so opposites usually work really well with students. So for two examples to help them understand economics, we can look at the past when we're studying American history over the last 100 years, or even look at today, and we'll list examples of what's going on in the economy. Let's say it's 100 years ago, there's kind of a self-regulated individualism, laissez-faire government. The government's not really involved. They're not checking businesses. They're not regulating the meat industry. They're not siding with workers. They're allowing big business to do whatever it wants. Then we kind of lean and I'll help them understand, like, hey, this is an example more of capitalism. But for example, let's say Theodore Roosevelt comes along and he passes regulation on the meat company. So obviously, meat packing scandal, Roosevelt getting involved. We're going to show students that, hey, the government's getting more involved. And we show them examples of strikes where actually some of the labor unions have won concessions and have been given their rights, like the right to collectively bargain. 8-hour workday legislation comes through, the Sherman Antitrust Act, and so we start to see like this. And then obviously when you get into 1950s with communism, you can start to show students some of the ideas, socialism, like today, you know, with Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, Social Security, unemployment, a lot of government assisted programs. It helps students understand that. So it's just an easy, quick, and it's constantly up. And you can do it two ways. You can do it now, or then you can pull off this, and I can show them then. You know, you could probably make more charts. You could have a chart for the economy then, economy today. And I do it for government too. And for government, I look at the basic idea of the job of the government, which is to protect the rights. And so we can go back through the American Revolution and say, hey, was the British government protecting rights? People were not really, Americans were not given the rights that they wanted. And so we'll fight back and forth. Then you'll see, you know, over time, we'll go slowly and slowly close to the government protecting rights. But there's always going to be kind of leaning towards this way, because you're going to have women who are denied the right to vote. African Americans were denied their basic freedoms. Then once they get their basic freedoms, they're still being denied their basic civil rights. And as you get through the 1960s, it kind of starts to push back this way, especially when we start to talk about government cases like Escobedo versus Illinois, Miranda versus Arizona. You can use those cases and say, hey, look where we're going. But then you can come back and look at today and say, hey, wait a second, well, with all this police violence, what about these African Americans that are getting shot? Is the government protecting rights? And it's just a constant, easy reminder, and charts and graphs are really good with the students. And so it's pretty easy to print this out. I can share this with you if you would like to do it, but I think it's good because ideas like economy and government are abstract ideas that they can't always completely touch and feel, whereas they can memorize history and they can memorize wars, but economics and government philosophy can sometimes be tough. So it's really good for me to just kind of show them opposites and use this as the visual summary of what we will discuss. All right, so there it is.